Today we're going to show you the top 13 tips and tricks you need to be on the lookout for when starting a game in Far Cry 5. What's up guys, Darkdally here playing Far Cry 5, and let's get right into this. Today's first tip is why you should get the first 3 specialist companions. Now right here you notice I only have 3 specialist companions. I've not progressed all the way through the game, but let me just tell you, again, this is starter tips. These 3 specialist companions are really easy to get. Let's have a look at the map and I'll tell you why you want to get them right off the bat. So here's the map. So the first pet you should get is Boomer, which comes from Ray Ray's pumpkin farm, which is right here. It's not too far from where you start. It's pretty much just run up and grab him. The second one I recommend you get is Peaches, which you get at the Peaches taxidermy right here. And then you can go, I would go for Cheeseburger as the third, not Cheeseburger, is the bear, and you get him at the Fang Center right here. All 3 of these locations are pretty central. Now, why go for these 3 animal companions right at the start? Because I am mostly about the human companions. The reason is, let me go to perks and I'll show you why right here. Down here at the perks, at the very bottom right, there is a perk called Leadership. It only costs 6 perk points, and it requires that you have 3 specialist companions, and then it unlocks an extra slot in your squad to have 2 guns for hire. Let's have a look at my roster here. Down here you have your basic generic companions, and these are integral when you first start off the game. Again, we're just talking about first starting off the game. These 3 guys are integral. We'll get into why later. Go ahead, get Peaches, get Cheeseburger, get Boomer, and then you can have 2 of these active at one time, and that's a huge help when you're first starting off the game. Alright, and of course these are in no particular order, but another very important thing in this game is prepper stashes. See this little symbol here? Now this reminds me a lot of the symbol that they had in Far Cry 4 for the little valuables caches, but those were nothing compared to the prepper stash in Far Cry 5. These are incredibly important, and you want to make sure to get these as soon as possible. Here you can see one I've not yet found, and it's a little kind of blue diamond symbol. Now, these are going to be usually given to you. Usually you'll get intel from these from civilians. Say you may rescue a civilian or something, and they may have this symbol over their head. That means they're going to give you info on a prepper stash. You're going to want to go for these as soon as possible, and let me show you why. Well, it's going to lead you to a little prepper stash location such as this, and it looks like we got a few guys here. There we go, they're down. Once you get the intel, it's going to lead you to a little place like this with the blue diamond. And I got my friend Monk here who's been helping me clear out enemies. You may have enemies when you arrive there. When you first arrive at a prepper stash, now let me explain to you the importance of these. They don't just give you valuables, they give you valuable perk points, money, and sometimes even vehicles. So that's why these are incredibly important, and there's only a finite amount of them, you know, around the map. So we're going to click this, and it's going to say, all right, rated some Peggy supplies. We hid the gear in the bridge supports. You'll need a grappling hook to get to it. Each one of these prepper stashes has some different thing. Some of them require you to spelunk down in caves. Some of them require you to do, climb mountains. This one, we're going to go ahead and we're going to follow these clues, and then we're going to find the prepper stash. Now, one thing is, as we got to climb down this bridge, here we are in this bridge, we're trying to climb down. One thing you're going to want to do, if you haven't done already, is go to your journal, go to your prepper stash, and track that quest. It's going to show you more clearly exactly where it is you're trying to get. Oh, you see it right there. Right there it is. That's what we're trying to get. Now, each one of these, again, is a unique challenge. Let's go ahead. We're going to get there, and then we're going to catch up with you. All right, and right there you see we just completed the stash, which means we found it. So here we have medkit, and let's find the signature stuff you always find at a prepper stash. This is what you want to go for right here. See these magazines? Each one of these magazines you pick up is going to give you another perk point. This is why prepper stashes are valuable. See, 1, 2, 3 perk points available. There's also usually money, ammo, various other kinds of loot. Again, sometimes you also even unlock vehicles. Oh, look at this stack of money we got here. Now, these stacks of money usually aren't much. They're usually 250 or so a piece. They're usually not much, but they add up. And money in this game, as every Far Cry game, is very valuable. Now you can see we picked up a lot of stuff here. This is the bonus of unlocking prepper stashes. You get lots of perk points. You need those perk points to spend on your perks. which brings me to my next point. All right, and for tip number 3, for beginning in Far Cry 5, I want to suggest some of the best starting perks you can have. Now, as you see, I still haven't played the game a whole lot. I myself only have about a third of the perks. There's still so much to do. But between me and my friends, we have come up with a great list of suggested perks you should start the game off with. First thing, which is going to be really just essential, is Human Fish. It's the first one right here. It only costs 1 perk point. It lets you hold your breath for longer. This is going to be absolutely essential. This is something you want to take right away. It only costs 1 perk point. You're going to want to take this. Possibly one of the second most important perks you could have is some way to parachute or use the wingsuit. You can see here I have both. Now the parachute is super easy, only costs 1 point. The wingsuit is a good idea too. It does cost 4 points, but at least have some way to jump off of high heights and land without breaking your legs. All right, now the third thing I would recommend is grapple. In fact, I think I got this first. You can get these in any order you want. These are just the best starting perks you can have. Again, grapple only costs 1 point. This is essential. I mean, this is more essential than pretty much anything to moving around the map. And if you've played previous Far Cry games, then you know that. Now, another thing I'm going to suggest for a starting perk, now this costs a little more, this costs 6 perk points, and that's King of the Jungle. What it does is it reduces animal attack damage from predators, and it prioritizes it nearby enemies over you. Prey animals flee less from you. So this means when you're trying to hunt animals, prey animals such as deer and stuff like that, they're going to flee less, and predators are going to do less damage and I think attack you less. Now, why does this matter? This matters because one of the main things in this game is making money, especially early on, and you're going to do that via hunting and fishing. When you're fishing, you want to get attacked by fewer predators while you're trying to fish, and when you're hunting, you want them to run away from you less. That's why I actually put this way up there, even though it does cost the 6 points. The fourth thing I have here on my list for perks that you want to start off with is Repair Torch. Repair Torch, also Locksmith, they both kind of go hand in hand. I'm going to suggest Repair Torch first. Now, it costs 5 points. Now, this allows you to repair vehicles with your torch, just like you used to be able to in Far Cry 4. It also allows you to open safes with your torch, because before you get this, the only way to open safes, as far as I know, is to use remote explosives. Now, that goes into something I'm going to talk about here in a few tips later, and that's about silver bars. Silver bars, every time you liberate an outpost, there's silver bars. They're always going to be, as far as I've seen, hidden in a safe. Let's move on to the last one I have here. Actually, we got a couple more. Here's one right here. Additional holster. Now this does cost 8 points, and this will give you a third weapon on your wheel. Another one that's not bad actually right here is Journey Pack. This lets you carry more items because hunting and fishing is actually fairly important to get that money you need early on. All right, and for tip number 4, we're gonna have a look at plane controls. Now, I think this is a decent beginner's tip, and I'll tell you why. We want to fly this plane right here, but the controls by default, some people may like them, but whether or not they're to your taste, the default plane controls simply don't give you the right level of control. Allow me to show you. By default, plane controls are set on shooter, where your left stick controls your yaw, pitch, and roll. And that's it. If you have a look at it again, if you go down here, I suggest choosing classic. Now, when you select classic, this makes it so your left stick only controls yaw and pitch, and you use the shoulder buttons to control roll. Let's go ahead and let's equip the shooter ones real quick here. Let's just do this. Let's just go over here. Let's select shooter. So those are selected now. And let's take off with shooter controls. Now here we're going to see the difference. Let's go ahead and take off. All right. The planes in this game, they fly pretty good. But with shooter controls, okay, so with shooter controls, the left stick controls everything. So if we want to, it makes it easy to turn and maneuver, but we can't really do a lot of dogfighting type maneuvers, which are things you're going to want later in the game. And all we can kind of do is this. We can't flip over, we can't do any kind of fancy maneuvers because the plane always autocorrects itself, because this one stick controls all 3 axes of movement. Like if we try to fly upside down, let's try to fly upside down. Let's see if we can do it. Can we fly upside down? No, because it keeps autocorrecting. Yeah, we can't. We can't fly upside down. It keeps auto-correcting and we can't do it. Go to controls. Let's just do a quick demonstration here. And this is why I think this is a good solid tip, actually. Let's go to classic plane controls. And again, I'm going to recommend the same for helicopter. Now we are on classic controls. With these controls, the left stick controls my yaw and my pitch, but it's my L and R buttons that control my roll. So I can stay rolled like this. So I can fly any way I want. I think this really does allow for a much more controllable flight. I can still use the right stick to look around. I can still use all my other buttons to do everything I want. But this way I can sit here and if I want, I can fly upside down through the entirety of the map. But I can sit here and do barrel rolls, and I can do all the fancy stuff you can do in any other game. And when you change your pitch, it stays changed. It's not like the shooter controls where it's always auto-correcting you. You could sit here, fly upside down, and there's that, guys. All right, guys, and tip number 5. This is something that you might not notice at first. This is a great tactic, especially when you're in co-op. See, I'm right here with my friend Monk, and we are aiming down at these 3 guys. Now, when you use your binoculars is a great way to spot and mark enemies. Now, you can see we've already marked these. Now, notice on the bottom of my screen, it says controls. Now, of course, I'm on PS4. If you're on a different system, you'll want to use different buttons, but it's going to display them at the bottom of the screen. Now, there's 2 handy controls you can use here, which are not readily apparent. The first one is the one all the way to the right, which says Set Waypoint. So, when I'm sitting here with my friend Monk, and we're both looking at this base, and we're trying to relay information, I can tap R3, and I can say, look over here. Now, one thing that we like to do is we like to flash it on and off like this. It easily shows your partner where you're aiming. See, notice he's flashing right there on the truck beside me. And so we can say, look, look over here. And then he can say, hey, look over here. See? Now that's one handy thing. The other handy thing is what the L3 button does. Right next to it says priority target. So what I can do is I can mark these targets as, well, that bison just kind of ran in and stomped all over my thing. Notice how I marked that guy 1. If you look real close, I'll zoom in for you. You can see that target's marked as 1, and Monk has marked this target as 2. I can now decide, fuck that, we want to hit the bison. So I can mark the bison, okay, with 3. Let's unmark target 1. See, I can toggle it off of that guy, and I can now put it onto the bison, and now the bison is target 1. Play with this yourself. I'm trying to show you the best I can. That was an unexpected thing here. But by using, at least, again, on PlayStation, it's L3. The bison is now marked 1. I can tap L3 on him again, turn it off, and I can decide to put it on this little critter down here. Oh, Monk just put it. I just put it back up. Now, that coupled with the ability to set waypoints wherever you want, this makes a great way to coordinate a co-op attack on any base. All right, guys, and now tip number 6. Now, this is something really cool. When you have a companion out, now as you can see, I'm in co-op, which means I can only have 1 companion, but that's all it takes. When you have a companion out, they have an incredible amount of independence and autonomy about them. You already know you can order your companions to go pretty much anywhere. I can tell Jen to move over there. I can tell her to move over there. One other thing we can do is we can actually have her drive vehicles for us. As long as you hop in the passenger side of a vehicle, your companion will automatically get in the driver's seat. And I've never seen a game do this. And they will drive it for you. Notice she gets in the driver's seat of the vehicle. Now, she's probably just going to sit here. She might drive on her own. Nope, she's just going to sit here because there's no targets. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go to my map. I'm going to set a waypoint. I'm just going to set a waypoint just right up the road. Just right here. And as soon as I set a waypoint, she starts driving. Now, how awesome is that? A lot of people may not realize that, at the beginning of the game. You can get a companion right from the beginning of the game. And so long as you hop in the passenger seat, your companion will automatically hop in the driver's seat and will go to any waypoint that you tell them to. Like if I look back over here, she's going to stop and she's going to move over there. If I look over this way and hit right on the D-pad, she's going to back up and she's going to move over there. This is an incredible ability. The companions in this game have an incredible amount of independence I've never seen in a game before, and their pathing is pretty good. I haven't seen the pathing mess up yet. I can't say that I have yet. They will always drive where you tell them to. What about helicopters? That was our next question. Could my companion drive a helicopter? Well, Monk, let's hop in the back of this helicopter. Let's find out. Monk and I are going to get in the back of this helicopter here, and look at that. She automatically hops in the front, and she will take off on her own. Now, I don't have a waypoint set, So I'm going to go ahead. Oh, I do. I already have a waypoint set. That's a good, actually, that's a good demonstration. I already have a waypoint set. So she's going to automatically default and fly towards that waypoint. And here she goes. Yes, your companion can also fly helicopters. Again, great beginner tip for this game. She flies pretty good. Sometimes she will duck down through the trees and do some Han Solo shit, but I gotta say, I've never actually seen her wreck into a tree. In fact, I've never seen her wreck. The only problems I've seen is that they can have a few problems landing. Oh, look, I think we're gonna have a good landing, Monk. I think we're actually gonna have a good landing here.
Yep. There we go.
Yeah, so here you see your companions. Oh, she's going right to the spot. Watch this. Oh, she's gonna land perfectly on it. Alright guys, now for tip number 7, and this is another great tip right here, is gun modifying. It might not be so obvious right off the start. You can see Monk and I here, we are both using M60s and we have them drastically differently modified. He's using his with a suppressor and a red dot sight. I'm using mine with a tactical scope and no suppressor. Now, here's how you modify guns. You want to go to any place with this green icon. See the green gun icon over her head? Any place like this where you can buy and sell weapons and items and stuff. This is where you modify your weapons, just like back in Far Cry 4. Once you go to the weapons section here in the store, you can see which weapons you have and haven't unlocked. Weapons you have unlocked will have a check mark by them. Like for instance right here I have the SA-50 Free State. This is a great weapon to have. We'll talk about that later. Now you see down in the bottom I can look at the details with triangle because I'm on PS4. Now when I click in the details, it shows me that this weapon has, see it, the grayed out. It says attachments and they're grayed out. Scope, suppressor, magazine. That means I can upgrade those on this. I just haven't yet. Let's go to weapon I have upgraded. Let's go to my ARC. Now notice here, those attachments are white. I've upgraded those. Notice at the bottom of the screen, it says X, customize. I can go here and we're gonna have to put it in a slot. First you have to put a weapon in a slot before you can modify it. So let's put the ARC up here. Here you can choose different camos. Now I just have the basic color chosen for my weapon because I'm not too picky about what they look like, but when you go down here you can see this wide choice of scopes, suppressors, and magazines. Unlike some previous games, unlike Far Cry 4 where you could usually only modify 2 out of the 3 slots, in this game you can modify whatever it lets you. Here we have a wide choice of scopes. Now for me personally, for my ARC, I chose to use the optical sight. So here's how you modify the weapons. I go down and you can select which suppressor you want as well. I should notice the different suppressors. One's round, one's kind of square. Makes no difference. These are purely cosmetic. Some weapons I have a round suppressor, some have a square suppressor, just whatever I think looks best with the weapon. Alright guys, and now for tip number 8. This is something that may elude you at first and it took us a minute to figure out, but this is really cool. Is changing the fire rate on your weapons and also changing some options and other items. First, let's look at fire rate. If you hold, again, I'm on PS4 guys, so it's going to be a different button depending on what system you're on. On PS4, it's L1 opens your weapon wheel. So whatever, button it is opens your weapon wheel. Now notice on my weapon wheel I have my ARC equipped, and that's the weapon I'm currently holding. Notice at the bottom of the weapon wheel it says rifle ammo, and I have a square button, a square prompt. Now when I tap square, it changes my fire mode. This is something that a lot of people may not be keen to right off the start. You can do the same thing with, for instance, your fishing pole and other items. With the weapon wheel open, notice right there at the top of the weapon wheel inside the circle it says R1 utility. That's going to toggle my utility weapon wheel. Let's go ahead and select my fishing pole. Notice down there in the same place with the rate of fire selection for my assault rifle, I have different kinds of bait I can select. So when you're using your fishing pole, just like you can change your fire rate and your ammo with your weapon, you can change what kind of bait you're using with your fishing pole. Alright guys, now for tip number 9. This is about prestige weapons. Let's go back to the shop here. Let's go back to the weapons shop. Let's have a look at weapons. You're going to notice there's going to be prestige weapons. Just like there were special weapons in Far Cry 4, so too are there here. And also like Far Cry 4, like right here, sometimes some of them are not weapons you can normally get in the game. Now, in previous games, such as Far Cry 4 and also Wildlands, which was an Ubisoft title, here we go. Here's an ARC with a special paint job. Now, in previous games, when you would get what you would consider a prestige weapon, it's going to have a fancy paint job, look really cool, but it's going to come with different mods. It's going to come with mods that you didn't choose and you can't modify them. This game is different. This game finally does something I wanted to see, and so this is a great tip. If I were to buy this ARC Stars and Stripes, it gives me a red, white, and blue American flag style ARC, but I can still fully modify it. Notice I already showed you guys this in that last tip. If I hit toggle details, notice this can take attachments. In this game, prestige weapons are simply reskinned versions of the originals that are still fully modifiable. Notice there's two ways to purchase it. $9,000 or 500, and yes, that symbol is silver bars. So I could buy this for 500 silver bars, which is going to be roughly about 12 or so outpost takings. Or I could just pay $9,000 for it. We'll get to money making here a couple tips down the road. Don't worry guys, I got some money making tips for you. So you could decide it's worth it just to pay the 9,000, or you could pay 500 silver bars for this. And this is fully modifiable, except you get this flashy metallic red, white, and blue Stars and Stripes paint job. Okay guys, so tip number 10 is buy the SA50 Free State. Now I've already purchased it, so I can't see the price down there, but I'll tell you the price is about $7,200 or 400 silver bars. Now I just told you how that works. Let me tell you why it's so important to buy this weapon. This is a semi-auto 50 caliber rifle. This thing is an incredibly useful tool. This is the ideal weapon to take down enemies driving at you down the road. However, if you look at how you have to get this, gain 6 levels of resistance in total from any of the 3 regions to unlock this item. Now this video is on beginner tips. That's a little bit, down the road in the game. That's why I recommend, let's go back to the featured weapons. That's why I recommend the SA50. This has no requirements to buy it. It costs about $7,200, I believe it is dollars, or 400 silver bars. You can buy this as early in the game as you have the $7,000. Now that may seem like a lot of money. Don't worry, we have money making tips coming up. Alright guys, and tip number 11. This is also a weapon that you should have. Because I advised you guys to go ahead and pick up that 3rd weapon holster, that means you're going to be able to carry 3 weapons. Now one's going to be a sidearm. Your 2nd slot, I really suggest you have the SA50. At least, again, we're talking starting off here. It's pretty easy to get. Now, what's that allow for your 3rd slot? You could have an assault rifle, or you could have an M60. This is easily gained at the beginning of the game. Remember, I suggested in one of my very first tips, if not, it was the first tip, I suggest that you get the animal companions. Well, when you're getting Cheeseburger in that mission at the Fang Center, a guy should drop an M60. He did for me. You should find an M60 dropped fairly early in the game. That's where I found mine. Pick that shit up. This weapon works really the same as an assault rifle, except that it does more damage. Notice this does 7 damage. If I go over to my assault rifle of choice, which is my ARC, notice it only does 4 damage. This thing does a lot more damage. I don't notice any difference in bullet drop really or accuracy. Let's go ahead, before we look at that, let's toggle details. Notice I can upgrade all the same slots. I have not put a suppressor on mine yet. That's just because of money constraints. You can suppress this, put an extended magazine, as well as any optics you want. Let's go ahead and look at that. As you can see here, I can put the same optics on this I could put on any assault rifle. This thing has about, well, I don't know how to count it, but at least 100 round magazine easily. I can zoom in, and I can fire off single shots. I can fire off short bursts. Now granted, the recoil with this could get a little out of control with larger bursts, and granted, yes, the reload is much longer than an AR. But I think it's worth it. Sacrifice your AR slot, use a good sniper rifle, and it's probably worth it to try something like this. But starting off, you can get the M60 pretty early on, and it makes a decent replacement for an AR, allowing you to have that SA50. Alright guys, and for tip number 12, we've got 2 tips left. We're going to finish off the tips with great ways to make money. Money to do all the things, or some of the things that I've been talking about. And right now we're going to start off with hunting. Now there's lots of ways you can hunt. Now my friend Zero, his favorite way of hunting is with the M60. And I'll admit, this is a great way to take down any kind of animal right here. This is, but it doesn't feel very authentic, does it? Now there's another fold to that, and that is using the bow. The bow has an advantage. The bow has a couple of layered advantages. So Monk and I, we're going to go hunting some animals, and I'll show you the advantages of the bow. Now remember, before we go out, let me pull up my perks here real quick. Now, at the beginning of the list, I give you some recommended skills, and one I actually forgot, I'll admit that's my bad, is this skill right here, Harvest Master. So I'm going to mention this right now. It doubles your loot reward from plants and animals. This means if you drop an animal, instead of getting one skin, you get 2 skins. Now, let's say you're using an M60, which is actually a pretty good way to hunt, though it doesn't feel very authentic. And let's say you down a bison with it, you'll get 2 bison skins instead of 1 with this skill. Now, a bison skin, for instance, is going to give you, what is it, about $200, Monk?
Yeah, $200 a bison skin.
All right, so if you shoot one, if you kill one with this skill, you get $400 total because you're getting 2 skins. So making money is paramount in this game, especially starting off. This skill right here, Harvest Master, is great. Now, the reason we're starting off with a bow is traditional to Far Cry games. If you shoot an animal with a bow, you get double the skins from it. Now, if you have Harvest Master, which gives you double skins, that's right. If you can kill an animal with a bow, you're going to get 4 skins. Alright guys, and finally the last tip. This feeds back into money making, and this is, in my opinion, probably the easiest way to make money, and that's with fishing. Most all fish in the game are only going to award you 100 per. Now, I just made effectively $300. That's way easier than hunting 3 deer in a row. The difference being, fish don't get the double skin skill that I just showed you with the bow and arrow, where we were getting 2 or even 4 skins from one animal. Does not apply to fish. No matter what you do, fish only give you 1 per. That said, they're super easy to catch. You can just tap R2. Oh, I cast right on top of that fish. I should get a bite immediately. Yep. And I can just reel it right in with the L2 button. So fish sometimes may be the easier alternative to making money, because right here I just made a few $100s. Sometimes fishing, especially when you get good at it, or if you enjoy it, let's move towards the shore, or if you enjoy it like I do, I really enjoy fishing. It can be a really fun way to make a lot of money. So guys, I wanted to end the video with money-making techniques because this feeds into a lot of the stuff I said before, such as buying prestige weapons. Well, here's a prestige weapon right here. This I actually, this is my Stars and Stripes P226. This I actually did buy with silver bars. But sometimes, like with my SA50 Free State, I actually just paid the money, and you're going to want to have the money to do that. So guys, here's all the tips I have for you, from the best way to get companions quick, the perks you want to have, the way to make the money to get the weapons you want, and all of these things are going to help you progress really quickly in the game. Also, how to use your companions, etc. Guys, tell me what you think in the comments below about what you think might be good starter tips, and maybe we can expand upon this and do more videos on better tips for more specific things. I'm Darkdally, this is Munkatron. Munkatron, do you have any parting words?
No tips. I think we covered everything pretty well. Yeah, look out for some more videos to come. Hopefully we'll have some good footage for you guys.
Right then, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm Darkdally, this is Munkatron. We will catch you in the next Far Cry 5 video.